I'm Kevin, and I've been doing some late season filming with my buddy Jimmy, and that right there was pretty much a foreshadowing of how the rest of our late season was going to go. So fast forward a few days, I've got my bow in my hand now and Jimmy's running the camera for me, and we have a deer feeding out at 40 yards where we don't have a shot, but then we finally have some deer come up right in front of us, and just as I'm about to draw to make a 30-yard broadside shot, Jimmy informs me that he cannot see this deer because it's behind a tree, and they duck out.
Lead deer's behind a tree. This deer that's here at 30 yards. I can't see either one of them. I can only see this close one behind a tree.
So after those deer duck out, we have a deer out here at 40 yards that starts working in. Here she comes, baby, right to the shooting lane.
What the fuck?
Just like it's about to happen, no way. Two squirrels run around a tree next to her and scare her out of there, and she circles around to where she's broadside feeding, but she's behind brush and I could not get a shot at her before she ducks out.
Got her. Yep.
Alright guys, I'm Kevin, this is Jimmy. We're on Jimmy's spot here in Eden Mill, and he's going to be running the camera for me today. It's like 100 degrees here in January in Maryland. In 2 days it'll be in the 20s, and hopefully we'll have one of those January deer come through, so stay tuned.
So all the days that we hunted were pretty warm, but this day it was like 60 degrees. Pretty much a summary of how the weather went for us hunting. We had a couple deer hook around but never came in.
I'm walking around with a camera behind a tree, and Jim is up in the tree with his bow, and we're hoping that these deer come in today, don't see me, and hopefully get an arrow in a pump station.
And nada for that hunt on the first day in the new spot. But a few days later it finally gets a little bit colder, and I'm in the tree for my last day of the season, and Jimmy's on the ground behind me filming, and we saw deer. Here we go. I'm about to get that last deer of the season that I've really been wanting in January. And whack, straight in a tree. Just as soon as that deer shows up, I stick an arrow in the tree over top of its back, and she's gone. Later, some deer emerge from the brush, but these deer are spooky and they do not want to come into the corn pile. And just like that, I bury my second arrow into the leaves at 30 yards on a spooky deer. I'm about to get another shot at a third deer tonight. I really better make this count. But as I go to draw, I notice that I have a blade sticking out of my broadhead, which I must have pulled out when I pulled it out of the quiver. And I do not want to send an arrow willy-nilly through the woods. The last thing I want after missing those 2 deer was to be tracking a wounded deer through the woods and never find it. So that deer ends up looking straight up at Jimmy, and we're busted. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. I have to give a shout out to Jimmy and say thank you for putting me on his spots and for putting all that corn down. I was really looking forward to hunting over bait for the first time this year because Jim usually slays them during this late season with his bow and arrow. It didn't work out this time. Bow hunting is his challenge, and that's why we do it, because it's hard. Filming makes it even tougher. And one thing's for sure, we'll be back out in September. Even after I put on this embarrassing display of shooting missing 2 deer, and we'll be back out fishing this spring, summer, and fall, and maybe even bring you some turkey hunting action from the spring. You can go up here to Crank A Bang Outdoors to check out more videos. Subscribe if you want to see them as they come out. Let me know if you dig them as well. I'm Kevin, signing off.